Everybody, good to see you. So let's talk about people with the Sun conjunct Neptune in the natal chart today, what this brings. So the Sun is a big part of our identity. It's a large chunk of our ego, our sense of personal self, how we want to feel validated, big part of our self-esteem, and it's how we express our personal creativity. So the Sun is the kind of applause that we want to receive, and for the show that we put on. And we all have a way of being ourselves that brings the most amount of attention or makes the most impact. So the Sun is really how we want to show up and be noticed. Neptune is the action that we will take when it comes to our idealism, our highest vision. And so when we have the Sun fused with Neptune in a conjunction, we have the ego and the identity fused with what is impersonal, what is transpersonal, what is universal, what is collective. So it makes it much, much more difficult to define who one is when we have this conjunction. It's very hard to know what one wants to be, what one wants, one's direction in life. There's this search for self that happens. So people tend to consult outside sources, things that are external to them, or look to things that are external to them to get that answer as to, who am I? What am I? What is my purpose? What is my direction? And that search for self really needs to turn into one's choosing for oneself. So life is not a search. It's more like a choice. So it's not about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. So you have to really get to know what you want. That's the key when it comes to developing a personal identity, developing dreams that you definitively act on, because there's a lot of beautiful abilities that come with this conjunction: compassion, poetic ability, artistic ability, selfless service. There's so many beautiful aspects to the personality when these two get together. But being able to use one's talents, being able to practically bring those talents to be recognized, that has a lot to do with definition of the self. And again, that starts with defining what you want, because what we want, that's the basis of our causeless happiness. The Sun shines for the sake of shining. So we have to know what kind of fun, what kind of enjoyment we want in our life. And that's not something that somebody should or even could tell us, because if they do tell us what we should be doing or who we should be or what our destiny is, that's just somebody's opinion. That's somebody's thoughts about us. And that's a way to escape being able to be oneself. That's a way to escape the responsibility for choosing, for making choices. Because if we do live a life that's of our own choosing, we have nobody to blame for that. We have nobody who can take responsibility for that. That's all on us. And it really shows who we are. It lays it bare, because those are our choices. So we have to get really good at knowing what we want in the moment, uncovering that joy, because Neptune is mystery, the unknown, what eludes us. And so that's what we're discovering is, oh, I've been hiding from myself. And it's as simple as recognizing what we want. We can't hide anymore. So the more that we don't know, that's the identity hiding from itself. And that self-discovery really comes through turning one's attention inward and discovering what we want to choose. People with this conjunction are really good at knowing what everybody else wants. What is going on with everybody else? What is beneath the surface with everybody else? But they're not good at knowing those answers about their own selves. And so that attention has to really turn inwards to what is the source of our causeless happiness? What is our bliss? There is a facet to this conjunction that can lead to people creating a type of alternate reality that allows them to deal with the difficulties of life. People often have a highly sensitive personality with this particular conjunction, or most aspects from Sun to Neptune. And so it can be very hard to deal with reality as it is. So they'll often have like, an alternate world that they go to as a refuge, or lose themselves in music, or lose themselves in some kind of Neptunian awe-inspiring or blissful activity. And it's really, really important to be able to deal with reality as it is if we're going to make really informed choices about our lives. And as people get to know themselves better, as they define who they are in accordance to what they want and what is of their own choosing, dealing with reality becomes much easier, because there's a confidence in their competence that develops that really, again, has to start with looking in and deciding what they want. So there is a beauty that really is recognized once people recognize their own selves and start to create that life. The impressionability that we see with somebody who has this conjunction tends to get a lot better as they do develop themselves and they do start to live a life that's more of their own choosing. It's much more difficult to talk them into things because it can be a very, very gullible personality before somebody really develops that sense of personal identity. So working in a industry or in a job where people can really be of benefit, that is so important for someone who has this conjunction. They really feel that they want to contribute in a large way, an impactful way. So working in social work, counseling, the arts, in supportive roles, human resources. Those can all be wonderful, wonderful outlets. It's important, though, that they have some flexibility throughout their day. They do not do well in restrictive or highly structured environments. So there needs to be some amount of flow or creative expression, some amount of setting their own schedule or choosing what it is that they're going to do more hour by hour. That can just make for a much more tolerable career. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. You can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com and Facebook, Instagram, both their social media at Truth and Aspect Astrology. And I'll be back soon with more super cool videos.